The frigid Boston wind cut through Theodore's tattered jacket as he watched her step out of the gleaming Rolls-Royce Spectre. White smoke billowed from beneath the hood of the $400,000 electric luxury vehicle, a stark monument to wealth now stranded on the slush-covered street. His weathered fingers, cracked from exposure, nails rimmed with dirt, clutched his cardboard sign. Former automotive engineer, will work for food. 20 years ago, those same hands had designed systems for vehicles just like this one. She ended her call with visible frustration, her camel Max Mara coat and Hermes scarf fluttering in the December air. Before he could reconsider, Theodore gathered his few possessions and crossed the street. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, keeping a respectful distance. "I couldn't help but notice you're having trouble with your Spectre." She turned sharply, instinctively clutching her Birkin bag tighter. Her eyes, calculating and cold, assessed him quickly, seeing only what the world saw: another homeless man, another potential threat. "I used to be an automotive engineer," Theodore continued, "specialized in luxury vehicles. I can help." Something in his voice, a remnant of confidence, of expertise, made her hesitate. Neither could have known that within minutes a simple twist of her hand would catch the sunlight, sending prisms dancing across the engine compartment. Neither could have imagined how an oval sapphire ring would collapse 20 years of separation in a single heartbeat. Have you ever wondered how close you've come to life-changing moments without realizing it? Right now, someone in your life might be holding the key to your future. A stranger, a forgotten friend, or even someone you pass by every day. What coincidences have shaped your journey? This extraordinary encounter between wealth and poverty will reveal how fate sometimes works through the most unlikely circumstances. Want to discover what happens when this homeless man recognizes the million-dollar heiress's ring? Hit subscribe now so you don't miss the shocking moment when their worlds collide. Theodore "Theo" Harrington hadn't always been invisible. At 42, he'd commanded respect when he walked through the doors of Precision Motors, his tailored suits and confident stride, marking him as someone who belonged in the world of luxury automotive engineering. His corner office had overlooked Boston Harbor, walls adorned with framed patents and industry awards. Colleagues sought his input on the most challenging technical problems. Executives brought potential clients to meet the wizard who had revolutionized fuel efficiency systems in high-performance vehicles. Harrington's compensating valve system became standard in vehicles worth more than most homes. His innovations had earned him not just recognition, but wealth. A 4-bedroom colonial in Newton, investment properties in Miami, a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds that promised a comfortable retirement. Evenings found him in his home workshop, his daughter Olivia perched on a stool nearby, watching with wide eyes as he explained the mechanics of miniature engines he built just for her. "Expertise is the one thing nobody can take from you," he'd tell her, not knowing how prophetic those words would become. "Your circumstances may change, your possessions may disappear, but what you know, what you can do with your hands and mind, that stays with you." Marilyn, his wife of 20 years, would bring them lemonade, her oval sapphire ring catching the light as she set down the glasses. The ring, his first major purchase as a young engineer, had a small inclusion shaped like a crescent moon and an inscription inside, "Forever flows our love." Then came the diagnosis: aggressive pancreatic cancer, stage 4. 6 months, the doctor said, not meeting their eyes. Perhaps a year with aggressive treatment. They fought with everything they had: experimental treatments not covered by insurance, alternative therapies in Mexico, specialists flown in from Switzerland. Theo liquidated investments, took out second and third mortgages. The medical bills mounted as Marilyn weakened. Their savings evaporated. Then came the market crash of 2008, decimating what remained of their investments. Precision Motors announced downsizing. Despite his contributions, despite the patents that still generated royalties for the company, Theo found himself unemployed at 52. Too specialized, too expensive to hire in an industry cutting costs. Marilyn died on a Tuesday morning in October. Before she passed, she'd insisted Olivia take her grandmother's ring. "Even in darkness, beauty persists," she told their daughter, slipping the sapphire onto her finger. "Remember that when life seems impossible." The funeral costs depleted their last resources. Creditors circled. The Newton house went into foreclosure. Theo moved to a one-bedroom apartment, then a studio, then a room in a boarding house. Grief consumed him. A glass of whiskey helped him sleep, then 2 glasses, then the bottle. Job interviews ended quickly when his hands shook too badly to demonstrate the precision that had once been his hallmark. Olivia, just beginning her career in San Francisco, sent money when she could. Their phone calls grew tense, her frustration palpable as he slurred his words, forgot their conversations, missed her birthday. Their final argument came after he sold the last of Marilyn's jewelry to pay rent. "You're killing yourself," Olivia had shouted through the phone. "Mom would be heartbroken seeing you like this." Drunk and despondent, Theo had lashed out. "What would you know about heartbreak? You left. You're living your perfect life while I'm drowning here." "I've tried to help you," she'd said, her voice breaking. "But you have to want to be helped." "I don't need your help," he'd spat back. "I don't need your pity. Just leave me alone like everyone else has." The line went dead. He called back repeatedly, but she never answered. Eventually, her number was disconnected. He sent letters that returned unopened. She had vanished from his life as completely as if she'd never existed. The eviction came next, then the nights under highway overpasses, the mornings waking with frost on his beard, the humiliation of standing outside coffee shops, asking for change. He found community among Boston's homeless population, former professionals, veterans, people who'd once had lives not so different from his. They taught him where to find meals, which shelters were safest, how to survive winter on the streets. Slowly, he found his way to sobriety, not through programs or interventions, but through the stark reality that alcohol and an empty stomach could kill him faster than the cold. His engineering mind calculated the odds and chose survival. For 10 years, Theo existed in the shadow world of Boston's homeless. His cardboard sign changed occasionally. "Former engineer needs work," or "will fix anything for food," but rarely attracted more than passing glance. He kept a small notebook of designs, ideas for more efficient heating systems for shelters, portable devices to purify water, low-cost solar collectors. His hands still itched to create, to solve problems, even when the only tools available were discarded pens and scavenged paper. Sometimes he'd watch luxury cars pass by, Bentleys, Aston Martins, Rolls Royces, and mentally catalog the improvements he would make to their systems. Old habits died hard. On particularly difficult nights, he'd close his eyes and picture Olivia as he'd last seen her, 22, fierce, brilliant, with her mother's determination in his analytical mind. He wondered what she'd become if she ever thought of him, if she still wore Marilyn's ring. He never expected to see that ring again. Never imagined that fate would orchestrate a reunion through a broken-down Rolls-Royce and a chance encounter on a frigid Boston morning. Life can change direction in an instant. A diagnosis, a market crash, a heated word you can't take back. Have you ever stood at such a crossroads? Many watching right now are one unexpected event away from a completely different life. What safety nets do you have in place? Theo's journey from respected engineer to homeless survivor shows how quickly circumstances can shift. Ready to discover how a chance encounter will bridge the impossible gap between Theo's past and present? Hit that like button and subscribe to witness one of the most unexpected reunions we've ever featured. Vanessa Montgomery Caldwell prided herself on control. As CEO of Montgomery Luxury Developments, she orchestrated billion-dollar deals across 3 continents with ruthless efficiency. Her calendar operated like a precision timepiece. 15-minute increments, no waste, no delays. This morning, she had exactly 37 minutes to reach her meeting with international blockchain investors about her newest eco-luxury development. The Rolls-Royce Spectre, a recent indulgence at $413,000, purred beneath her as she mentally rehearsed her presentation. Then came the alert on the digital dashboard. Temperature warning, system malfunction. White smoke began billowing from beneath the hood. "No, no, no," she muttered, pulling to the curb on a less-than-ideal downtown street. She pressed the custom concierge button, a feature exclusive to ultra-luxury Rolls-Royce owners. "Ms. Montgomery Caldwell," the cultured voice responded, "I'll dispatch emergency service immediately, but current wait times are approximately 3 hours due to weather conditions." 3 hours? That's completely unacceptable, she snapped. I have international investors waiting. I deeply apologize, but the ice storm has created significant... She ended the call with a sharp tap, her French manicured finger reflecting her irritation. Her driver had called in sick, the only reason she was behind the wheel herself, and her assistant was already at the venue preparing. Stepping out of the vehicle, Vanessa assessed her surroundings with distaste. This wasn't her Boston, not the polished financial district or elegant back bay where she conducted business. Here, grime coated the sidewalks, and desperation lingered in doorways. She pulled her coat tighter, the camel-colored Max Mara a barrier between herself and the harsh environment. Her Hermes scarf fluttered in the wind as she paced, contemplating her options. Across the street, Theodore watched the scene unfold. The woman's body language spoke volumes, privileged, annoyed, out of place. Her vehicle, however, spoke to him on a deeper level. The Spectre was Rolls-Royce's first fully electric production car, a marvel of engineering he'd read about in discarded trade magazines. His mind automatically diagnosed possibilities. Cooling system failure, most likely. Not the high-voltage components. Those would trigger more serious warnings. Probably a loose connection or minor leak in the auxiliary cooling circuits. A simple fix for someone who knew what they were looking at. Theo debated with himself. Approaching a wealthy woman on a street like this would likely trigger alarm, possibly a call to police. He'd been escorted away from respectable areas, often enough to know how quickly such encounters could deteriorate. Yet something pulled at him. The challenge, the chance to work with a machine of such caliber, perhaps even the opportunity for a few dollars if he succeeded. Before he could reconsider, he gathered his few possessions. He'd learned never to leave anything behind, and crossed the street with measured steps. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, keeping a respectful distance. "I couldn't help but notice you're having trouble with your Spectre." She turned sharply, instinctively clutching her Birkin bag closer. Her eyes, intelligent and wary, assessed him quickly. "I used to be an automotive engineer," Theo continued, gesturing to his cardboard sign. "Specialized in luxury vehicles. If you'd like, I could take a look." Vanessa's expression remained guarded, but her analytical mind engaged. Her options were limited. Wait hours for service, miss the meeting, or take a chance on this unlikely source of help. "You know about electric vehicles?" she asked, her tone skeptical yet not dismissive. Theo nodded. The Spectre uses a dual-motor electric powertrain producing 577 horsepower with 664 pound-feet of torque. The 102 kilowatt-hour battery is housed in the floor pan. If it's smoking like that, it's likely an issue with the cooling system for the auxiliary components, not the main battery or drive units. Surprise flickered across her face at his detailed knowledge. "You certainly talk like an engineer," she conceded. "I was for 20 years, at Precision Motors." Something shifted in her expression. Recognition, perhaps. Precision Motors was well known in luxury circles before being acquired by a German conglomerate. She checked her watch, Platinum Patek Philippe, and made a decision. "I have a critical meeting with blockchain investors about a new luxury development in 30 minutes. I can't afford to wait for roadside assistance." "Pop the hood," Theo said, already rolling up his sleeves. Vanessa hesitated, then pressed the electronic release. The Spectre's hood rose with hydraulic elegance, revealing the complex array of components beneath. "Stand back," Theo instructed, momentarily forgetting social hierarchies as his engineer's mind took over. The high-voltage system has safeguards, but caution is still warranted. To his surprise, she complied without comment. His hands moved with practiced precision, despite years away from professional work. He identified the problem quickly. A loose connection in the secondary cooling circuit, causing overheating in the climate control and infotainment systems. "Hand me that handkerchief from your bag," he said, too focused to worry about social niceties. Vanessa raised an eyebrow but reached into her Birkin and extracted a Valentino silk square. Theo used it to grip a hot component while he secured the connection. "I'll need something to stabilize this fitting," he murmured. "Do you have any?" "Here," she interrupted, passing him a platinum Mont Blanc pen from her coat pocket. He blinked at the $1,000 writing instrument, now designated as a tool, but adapted quickly, using its clip to secure the problematic connection. "This is temporary," he explained. "You'll need proper service, but it will get you to your meeting and back. As Theo worked, Vanessa found herself moving closer, curiosity overcoming caution. Despite his appearance, his movements displayed unmistakable expertise. Efficient, precise, confident. His commentary revealed deep technical knowledge that couldn't be faked. The cooling systems in electric vehicles are actually more complex than in traditional combustion engines, he explained as he worked. They have to manage heat across multiple systems operating at different optimal temperatures. Vanessa listened with unexpected interest. Her real estate developments included charging infrastructure for electric vehicles, and this technical perspective offered valuable insights. There, Theo said finally, straightening up. Try it now. Vanessa returned to the driver's seat and pressed the start button. The Spectre came to life with its characteristic silent power, all warning lights now extinguished. Relief and genuine gratitude washed over her. That's remarkable. How much do I owe you? Theo shook his head. No charge. Just glad to be useful again. Nonsense, she replied, reaching into her purse. Your expertise saved me thousands in missed opportunities today. As she extended her hand with several $100 bills, sunlight caught something on her right hand, sending a prism of light dancing across the engine compartment. Theo glanced up, and the world around him suddenly disappeared. There on her finger was an oval sapphire surrounded by diamonds in a platinum setting. His mother's ring, the one he had given to Marilyn, who had passed it to their daughter, Olivia. His hands froze mid-motion, his face draining of color. That ring, he whispered, voice suddenly hoarse. Where did you get it? Vanessa instinctively covered the ring with her other hand, her professional composure faltering at the unexpected question. It was my mother's. Why? Theo's heart hammered against his ribs as he stared at her face, really seeing it for the first time, looking past the perfect makeup and professional mask to the features beneath. The shape of her eyes, the slight asymmetry in her smile. Features he'd seen every day for 22 years. The sapphire, he said, struggling to form words. It has a small inclusion on the lower left quadrant, shaped like a crescent moon. And there's an inscription inside, Forever flows our love. The color drained from Vanessa's face. How could you possibly know that? Expertise lives in the hands and mind, not in appearance or circumstance. Have you ever misjudged someone based on their current situation? Hidden beneath hardship often lie exceptional talents waiting for one opportunity to shine again. What if the homeless person you pass daily was once a brilliant surgeon, engineer, or artist? Theo's story challenges us to look beyond appearances and recognize that skills don't disappear with status. Ready to witness the moment when this chance encounter becomes a life-altering reunion? Comment second chance below if you believe everyone deserves an opportunity to reclaim their potential. Because I had it inscribed for my wife Marilyn in 1989, Theo said, his voice barely audible above the city noise. She gave it to our daughter, Olivia, before she died. Time suspended between them. The bustling Boston street faded away. Pedestrians, traffic, the cold December air, all became distant, inconsequential. Vanessa stepped back, her professional composure crumbling. My birth name was Olivia Harrington, she whispered. I changed it after college. It was easier to start fresh. Theo stared at her face, truly seeing it now, the sharp intelligence in her eyes, Marilyn's eyes, the determined set of her jaw, his own. The slight crinkle at the corner of her mouth when she spoke, a mirror of his mother's expression. Olivia? The name emerged broken, fractured by emotion. She nodded, tears threatening to ruin her flawless makeup. How is this possible? I looked for you. For years. Theo's legs weakened beneath him. He gripped the edge of the Rolls Royce for support, leaving smudged fingerprints on the immaculate finish. After I lost the house, he managed, I moved around, shelters sometimes, under bridges when necessary. Vanessa, Olivia, covered her mouth with trembling fingers. I hired investigators. They said you disappeared completely. No credit card traces, no rental agreements, no tax records. It's easy to vanish when you have nothing, Theo said simply. A businessman hurried past, casting a disapproving glance at the unlikely pair beside the luxury vehicle. Neither noticed. They existed in a private universe constructed of shared DNA and fractured memories. "I should have tried harder to find you," she said, guilt evident in her voice. "No," Theo countered firmly. "I said unforgivable things that night. I pushed you away deliberately. I couldn't bear for you to see what I'd become." The truth hung between them, raw, painful, unavoidable. A decade of absence condensed into this single moment of recognition. "You've done well for yourself," Theo observed, gesturing to the Rolls-Royce, her clothing, the confident way she carried herself. Pride warmed his voice. "Montgomery Luxury Developments? That's you?" She nodded. "I started small, luxury condo renovations in San Francisco. Built it from there. Your mother would be proud." His voice caught on the words. At the mention of Marilyn, something broke open in Olivia. Without warning, without concern for her designer coat or professional image, she launched herself forward, wrapping her arms around her father. The embrace shocked Theo, the physical contact after years of people avoiding his touch, the scent of expensive perfume replacing the usual odors of street life, the feeling of his daughter's tears soaking through his thin jacket. Hesitantly, then with growing certainty, he returned the embrace. "I missed you, Dad," she sobbed against his shoulder. Every achievement, every milestone, something was always missing. Theo held her tightly, his body shaking with sobs he couldn't contain. "My little Liv," he whispered into her hair, "I never stopped loving you. Never." They stood embracing on that busy Boston street, oblivious to the curious stares of passers-by. A homeless man and a millionaire locked in an embrace that defied explanation, unless one knew about the sapphire ring that had guided them back to each other. When they finally separated, Olivia wiped her tears, smearing her perfectly applied makeup. "You're coming with me," she stated with the same determination that had built her real estate empire. "Liv, I can't." Theo gestured helplessly at himself, at the gulf between their worlds. "You fixed my $500,000 car in 10 minutes with nothing but your bare hands and knowledge," she said firmly. "And you're my father. The blockchain investors can wait. You have an important meeting." "I own the company," she interrupted. "They'll wait if I tell them to wait." Already she was on her phone, typing rapid instructions to her assistant. Her voice shifted into a commanding tone Theo had never heard from her before. "Cancel the riverfront presentation. Reschedule for tomorrow. Family emergency." She ended the call and turned back to him. "Where are your things?" Theo gestured to the small bundle he carried across the street, a tattered backpack containing everything he owned. Her eyes softened with understanding and fresh pain. "We have a lot to talk about," she said, opening the passenger door of the Rolls-Royce. Theo hesitated. "I haven't been in a car like this as a passenger since you designed components for them," she finished, unexpected tears filling her eyes again. "Please, Dad, come home with me." The word home echoed in Theo's mind, a concept so distant it had become abstract. Shelters and doorways didn't constitute homes. The Newton Colonial with Marilyn and little Olivia had been his last true home. With a deep breath, he gathered his meager possessions and stepped toward the open door. "I'm not the man you remember," he warned, suddenly afraid of disappointing her again. "The drinking, the depression, it took years from me." Olivia's expression softened. "And I'm not the daughter you remember. Life changed us both." She glanced at the sapphire ring on her finger. But some things remain constant. As Theo settled into the supple leather seat of the vehicle, the surreal nature of the moment struck him. 1 hour ago, he'd been invisible, another homeless man on Boston streets. Now he sat in a Rolls-Royce beside the daughter he thought lost forever. "Where are we going?" he asked, as Olivia slid into the driver's seat. "My penthouse overlooking Boston Harbor," she replied, starting the engine. "We have 10 years to catch up on." As the Rolls-Royce pulled away from the curb, Theo gazed at his daughter's profile. The sophisticated businesswoman beside him bore little resemblance to the young college graduate he'd last seen, yet somehow remained unmistakably his Liv. His eyes dropped to the sapphire ring on her finger, the unlikely bridge across a decade of separation. A small blue stone that had somehow accomplished what investigators could not, reuniting father and daughter against impossible odds. Some connections run deeper than circumstance or time. When Theo inscribed "Forever flows our love" inside that sapphire ring, could he have imagined it would someday guide his lost child back to him? Have you lost touch with someone who once meant everything to you? Perhaps this story will inspire you to reach out before more time slips away. What if the universe is working behind the scenes in your life right now, arranging unlikely coincidences that will restore what was broken? If you believe in the power of family bonds that transcend time and circumstance, double tap the like button and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that reconciliation is possible even after years of silence. The gleaming glass elevator ascended 63 floors without a sound. Theo stood rigidly in the corner, acutely aware of his appearance reflected in the polished walls. His weathered face, unkempt beard, and layers of mismatched clothing stood in stark contrast to the elevator's pristine interior and his daughter's elegant presence. Olivia watched him from the corner of her eye, noticing how he held his tattered backpack close to his chest like a shield. The silence between them felt both fragile and heavy with unspoken words. "The view is remarkable," she offered, attempting to ease the tension. "You can see clear to the harbor on days like this." Theo nodded, uncertain how to participate in small talk after years of bare necessity conversations on the streets. The concept of admiring views had become alien to him, a luxury afforded to those who weren't focused on immediate survival. The elevator doors opened directly into her penthouse foyer. Theo stepped out and froze. Before him stretched 5,000 square feet of architectural perfection, soaring ceilings, walls of glass framing Boston's skyline, museum-quality art, and furnishings that likely cost more than houses he'd once owned. A massive Bertoia sculpture dominated the entrance, its flowing metal form capturing light from recessed fixtures above. "This is where you live?" The question escaped before he could filter it. Olivia set her keys in a handcrafted bowl on a console table. "One of my places. I have others in Miami, San Francisco, and London for business." The casual mention of multiple luxury homes highlighted the chasm between their lives. While she collected properties across continents, he had struggled to find doorways sheltered from rain. "Would you like to clean up?" she asked delicately. "There's a guest suite with everything you might need." Theo recognized the gentle suggestion behind her words. He hadn't had proper access to hygiene facilities in days. The luxury of a private shower, with hot water on demand, in abundance, suddenly seemed impossibly precious. "That would be... Yes, thank you." She led him to a room larger than most apartments, equipped with a bathroom featuring a rainfall shower, heated marble floors, and toiletries arranged with hotel precision. "Take your time," she said, closing the door behind her. "I'll prepare something to eat." Alone in the opulent space, Theo approached the mirror with trepidation. The man who stared back was barely recognizable. Hair and beard matted and overgrown, deep creases mapping his face, eyes dulled by years of hardship. Was this hollow-cheeked stranger truly the father Olivia remembered? 45 minutes later, he emerged transformed, freshly showered, beard trimmed with precision scissors from the grooming kit, and dressed in clothes Olivia had tactfully left outside the door. The casual slacks and cashmere sweater fit well enough, though the shoulders hung slightly loose on his diminished frame. He found her in the kitchen, arranging a charcuterie board with practiced elegance. "Madagascar vanilla tea," she said, gesturing to a steaming porcelain cup. "You always preferred it to coffee." The revelation that she remembered such a detail after so many years struck him deeply. "You have a good memory." "Some things you don't forget," she replied, her voice soft with emotion. "No matter how much time passes." They settled in the living area, floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Boston Harbor beyond. Between them sat tea, food, and a decade of absence. "Tell me about your life," Theo began, choosing the safer direction for conversation. "Montgomery Luxury Developments. How did that start?" Olivia looked relieved at the prompt. This was familiar territory. "After San Francisco stayed, I worked for a commercial real estate firm. Noticed a gap in the market for sustainable luxury housing. Started small, bought a rundown Victorian in Pacific Heights with a loan in every dollar I'd saved. Renovated it using sustainable materials, sold it to a tech CEO for double the investment. As she spoke, Theo recognized her strategic mind. His own analytical approach blended with Marilyn's creative vision. I reinvested everything, took calculated risks, developed a reputation for luxury properties with zero carbon footprints, attracted investors from tech and finance looking for ethical luxury. The company grew exponentially. And the name change? He asked carefully. Her expression clouded. Montgomery was Mom's maiden name. Caldwell came later. A brief marriage that didn't last. She twisted the ring on her finger, a nervous habit he remembered from her childhood. After our falling out, I needed distance from the past, a fresh identity. The implication hung between them. His actions had driven her to erase their shared name. Your turn, she said, clearly attempting to mask discomfort. The last decade? Theo considered softening the reality, but decided against it. Honesty, however painful, was the only path forward. After losing the Newton house, I moved into progressively worse accommodations as funds dwindled. Alcohol made everything bearable until it made everything worse. He paused, gathering courage. 3 years on the streets before I got sober. Not through programs, just hit bottom hard enough that survival instinct kicked in. Olivia's composed facade cracked slightly. The investigators said there was no trace of you after 2016. When you exist outside the system, you become invisible. No bank accounts, no address, no tax returns. He shrugged. Officials look through you, not at you. I should have tried harder, she whispered, setting down her teacup with unsteady hands. No, Theo said firmly. I deliberately disappeared, changed locations if I thought anyone was looking for me. Pride is a powerful force. The truth settled between them, uncomfortable but necessary. I said terrible things that night, he continued, about you abandoning me, about your mother. You were drinking heavily, she countered, though her voice carried old pain. That explains it. Doesn't excuse it. He met her gaze directly. I failed you, Liv, after promising I'd always be there. Her professional composure dissolved completely. I abandoned you too. Left you alone with your grief because I couldn't handle it alongside my own. Then built this empire partly to prove I didn't need anyone, especially not the father who'd rejected me. The painful truth hung in the air between them, how grief had transformed them both, driving them to opposite extremes. One to accumulate wealth and status as armor, the other to shed all possessions as penance. Your mother would be proud of you, Theo said finally, not because of this. He gestured to the luxury surrounding them, but because you survived. You built something meaningful. She'd be heartbroken about what happened to you, Olivia replied, her voice breaking. That her ring found you before I did. Theo reached across the space between them, hesitantly touching her hand. Perhaps she guided it. Your mother always believed the universe works to heal what's broken. Their fingers intertwined, the first intentional touch exchanged in 10 years. His weathered hand against her manicured one, the sapphire ring catching light between them. Can we start again? She asked, suddenly sounding like the young woman he'd lost a decade ago. I'm not sure I know how, Theo admitted, but I want to try. In that moment, surrounded by luxury beyond imagination, they recognized the simple truth. All the wealth in Boston meant nothing compared to the fragile connection being rebuilt between father and daughter. In a world obsessed with status and possessions, we often forget what truly matters. Olivia had acquired everything money could buy, penthouses, luxury cars, designer wardrobes, yet felt the absence of family in every achievement. What emptiness exists in your life that no purchase can fill? This powerful reunion reminds us that relationships transcend material wealth in every meaningful way. Would you trade all your possessions for the chance to reconnect with someone you've lost? If this story touches your heart, take a moment right now to reach out to someone you've lost touch with before another day passes without the connection that might complete your life's true wealth. The morning sun filtered through the guest suite windows as Theo opened his eyes. For a moment, disorientation gripped him. The softness of the mattress, the weight of plush bedding, the absence of street noise all felt foreign after years of sleeping rough. Reality gradually settled. He was in his daughter's penthouse, Olivia, now Vanessa, had found him. Or rather, Marilyn's ring had reunited them through an improbable coincidence that defied statistical odds. The first week passed in a haze of adjustment. Olivia postponed international meetings to remain close, arranging for discreet medical care to address years of neglected health. Doctors discovered untreated hypertension, vitamin deficiencies, and early-stage cataracts, all consequences of street life. "We'll handle everything," she assured him, wielding her influence to secure appointments with Boston's finest specialists. Her determination reminded Theo of Marilyn's unwavering focus during her cancer battle, a comparison that brought both pain and comfort. Physical rehabilitation was challenging but straightforward. The psychological adjustment proved more complex. Theo struggled with simple luxuries: running water, climate control, abundant food. Nightmares plagued him. Sometimes he'd wake confused, gathering his non-existent possessions before remembering where he was. "Recovery isn't linear," counseled Dr. Abernathy, the addictions specialist Olivia had engaged. "You lived in survival mode for years. Your brain needs time to rewire itself to safety." By the third week, a subtle shift occurred. During dinner, Maine lobster prepared by Olivia's personal chef, Theo made an observation about the inefficiency of the kitchen's water heating system. "The recirculation pump is oversized for the application," he noted, his engineer's mind automatically analyzing the problem. "You're wasting energy and reducing component lifespan." Olivia looked up, surprised by this glimpse of the father she remembered, the problem solver, the efficiency expert, the man who could identify mechanical flaws at a glance. "Could you design something better?" she asked carefully. The question hung between them, more significant than it appeared. Was he still capable of creating, of contributing meaningfully? Theo hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I'd need drafting supplies, a computer with CAD software." The next morning, a state-of-the-art workstation appeared in the guest suite, equipped with the latest engineering software. Theo approached it cautiously, fingers hovering over the keyboard like a pianist returning to an instrument after years of absence. Would the knowledge still be there? Or had time and hardship erased his expertise? He began tentatively, relearning commands and interfaces. By afternoon, he was fully immersed, the hours passing unnoticed as he drafted improved systems, not just for the kitchen, but for the entire penthouse. More efficient heating, water conservation methods, energy optimization. Olivia found him past midnight, surrounded by virtual schematics, eyes alive with purpose for the first time since their reunion. "This building wastes nearly 30% of its energy through outdated distribution systems," he explained, not looking up. "I've identified 7 major modifications that would reduce consumption while improving performance." She studied the detailed plans with growing interest. As a developer of eco-luxury properties, energy efficiency directly aligned with her business model. "These innovations could be implemented across my developments," she realized aloud. Theo nodded, warming to the subject. Luxury and sustainability aren't contradictory concepts. Properly engineered systems can provide superior performance while reducing environmental impact. A spark ignited between them. The recognition of complementary expertise. Her market understanding and business acumen paired with his technical knowledge and innovative thinking. "There's something else," Theo said hesitantly. "On the streets, I met former architects, healthcare workers, educators, people with valuable skills made invisible by circumstance. One man who sleeps in South Station was a structural engineer from Haiti who lost everything in the earthquake." Olivia's expression shifted as she processed this information through her developer's perspective. "You're suggesting there's untapped talent out there? Not just talent, expertise, experience, knowledge being wasted because society has no pathway for people who've fallen through the cracks." That conversation planted the seed for what would become the Harrington-Montgomery Initiative for Displaced Professionals. The concept evolved over breakfast meetings and late-night discussions, a program providing rehabilitation, retraining, and reintegration for homeless individuals with professional backgrounds. "Most existing programs focus solely on basic needs," Olivia observed, bringing her business analysis to the challenge. "Few address the specific barriers facing former professionals: credential restoration, skill updates, professional network rebuilding, and psychological support," Theo added, speaking from experience. The shame of falling from established success often prevents people from seeking help. Through winter into spring, their vision crystallized. Olivia contributed business strategy and financial backing, while Theo provided insight into the day-to-day realities of homelessness and the specific challenges of professional reintegration. By June, they secured a decommissioned Marriott hotel near Massachusetts General Hospital, converting it into transitional housing with on-site services, addiction treatment, mental health support, and professional retraining facilities. The model must be sustainable, Olivia insisted during planning sessions with architects and program developers. Not just another well-intentioned charity that dissolves when funding wanes. The solution emerged from their combined perspectives. Program graduates would provide services to Montgomery Luxury Developments and its clients, creating a self-reinforcing ecosystem. Former accountants would manage finances for new developments. Engineers would design sustainable systems for luxury properties. Healthcare professionals would staff wellness centers in high-end residential buildings. 8 months after their chance reunion, Theo stood beside Olivia at the initiative's launch event, addressing a room of Boston's influential citizens. His transformation was remarkable. His health restored, his mind sharp, his appearance reflecting his renewed dignity. "When my daughter found me," he told the hushed crowd, "I was fixing her Rolls-Royce Spectre with bare hands that hadn't known soap in weeks. But those same hands once designed engine components used in vehicles worth millions." He scanned the attentive faces before him, financial executives, medical directors, real estate developers. Your Uber driver might have been a structural engineer in his home country. The woman asking for change outside Whole Foods might have been a pediatric nurse before mental illness, and an inadequate healthcare system took everything. His voice strengthened with conviction. Talent doesn't disappear with circumstances. It just waits for the right opportunity to shine again. The initiative's first participant was Eduardo Vasquez, a former architectural designer who had lost everything during a prolonged health crisis that bankrupted him despite premium insurance coverage. After 6 months of support, Eduardo joined Montgomery Luxury Developments as a sustainable design consultant. His first project, a revolutionary carbon-neutral luxury condominium in Aspen, attracted environmentally conscious celebrities and tech billionaires, proving the business case for the initiative, restored talent creating marketable value. Patricia Chen, once a respected neurologist before schizophrenia derailed her career, received comprehensive treatment through the program. After stabilization and credential restoration, she established a mental wellness center serving residents of Montgomery's luxury properties, her medical background enhanced by personal understanding of psychological challenges. James Collins, a former finance professor who descended into homelessness following his wife's death, now managed cryptocurrency investments for high-net-worth clients of Montgomery Financial Services, a subsidiary Olivia established to expand their impact. For Theo, the most healing aspect came through mentoring. Every Saturday morning, he taught automotive engineering to young people from Boston's struggling neighborhoods. Using components donated by luxury manufacturers, secured through Olivia's client relationships, he guided students through complex systems, preparing them for high-paying careers in specialized repair. "My father once told me that expertise is the one thing nobody can take from you," he would tell his students. "Your circumstances may change, your possessions may disappear, but what you know, what you can do with your hands and mind, that stays with you." The young people responded to his practical knowledge and lived experience. Several secured apprenticeships with luxury dealerships, their specialized training commanding premium wages that transformed their families' financial trajectories. Watching these successes, Theo found purpose more fulfilling than anything he'd known at Precision Motors. His professional knowledge combined with his experience of loss and recovery created a unique capacity to guide others through similar journeys. 1 year after their chance encounter, the initiative had successfully reintegrated 37 professionals into meaningful employment. Small by some measures, but transformative for each individual and family touched by the program. "Engineering taught me to measure impact through efficiency," Theo reflected during a rare quiet moment with Olivia on her penthouse terrace. "More output from less input, but this work has a different metric, depth rather than breadth." Olivia nodded, understanding. Her business success had always been quantified through property values, profit margins, and portfolio growth. The initiative offered a new measurement, lives fundamentally redirected. Mom would approve, she said, twisting the sapphire ring that had brought them back together. She always said true wealth isn't what you have, but what you give. She was right, Theo replied, watching the sunset reflect off Boston Harbor. I lost everything, career, home, family, and somehow gained something more valuable through the journey back. The transformation wasn't just in Theo's external circumstances, from homeless to housed, from isolated to connected. The deeper change was internal, from shame to purpose, from survival to contribution, from lost to found. Look around at the people you pass daily. The barista, the rideshare driver, the person asking for help. How many hidden stories of former greatness lie beneath current circumstances? True success isn't measured by acquisitions or achievements, but by the lives we help transform. What if your purpose isn't to accumulate more, but to elevate others? Theo and Olivia discovered that combining their different strengths created something more powerful than either could build alone. Ready to see how their initiative grows from local project to national movement? Take action now by subscribing and sharing this video with someone who needs to be reminded that their lowest point doesn't define their future potential. Theo moved into the guest house of Olivia's Nantucket vacation property 6 months after their reunion. Though she had offered him a penthouse of his own in Boston, he preferred the simpler space. A modern cottage with ocean views but modest proportions. Too much luxury too quickly would be disorienting after years on the streets, he explained when she questioned his choice. This feels like home without feeling overwhelming. Their relationship evolved into something neither could have anticipated, a partnership that honored their past while acknowledging who they'd become. They weren't trying to recreate the father-daughter dynamic from 20 years ago. That was impossible. Instead, they built something new. A relationship between equals who shared both DNA and purpose. On weekends, they walked along the beach at dawn, Olivia's Maltese puppy Bentley racing ahead of them. These quiet moments allowed conversations that healing their deepest wounds. I still have nightmares about looking for you, Olivia admitted during one such walk. In the dream, I'm searching Boston streets, and you're always just around the next corner. Theo nodded, understanding. I dream of calling your number. In the dream, you always answer, but I can never speak. Such honesty would have been impossible in those first awkward weeks. Now it flowed naturally, part of their mutual healing. One evening, as they sat on Adirondack chairs watching the sunset over the Atlantic, Olivia twisted the sapphire ring on her finger, a habit she'd developed whenever contemplating complex business decisions. I still can't believe you recognized Mom's ring after all these years, she said. Theo smiled, the lines around his eyes crinkling. I knew that ring better than my own reflection. I saved for 2 years to buy it for your mother, back when I was just starting at Precision. The jeweler tried to sell me something flashier, but that sapphire, it reminded me of her eyes. Your eyes. Mom told me it was her most valuable possession, not because of its monetary worth, but because of what it represented. What did she tell you it meant? That love continues flowing even when circumstances change. Olivia studied the blue stone. I never took it off after she gave it to me. Even during my brief marriage, I moved it to my right hand rather than remove it. Your mother believed objects could carry intentions across time, Theo said, watching the fading light play across the waves. She'd say this reunion wasn't coincidence, but the ring fulfilling its purpose. Olivia considered this. Science would call it statistically improbable, but possible. And yet here we are, Theo replied. The odds against me being on that particular street, on that exact morning, when your specific vehicle experienced that precise malfunction. While I was wearing Mom's ring, Olivia finished, maybe some equations exist beyond calculation. The universe's mathematics remained a mystery, but the impact of their reconnection became increasingly quantifiable. 7 months after launching their initiative, Forbes magazine contacted them for a feature story. The resulting cover showed Olivia standing proudly before their latest development, a revolutionary luxury high-rise in Miami, featuring vertical gardens and zero carbon footprint. But it wasn't her tailored Armani suit or confident stance that captivated readers. It was the man standing slightly behind her, his weathered face contrasting with impeccable business attire, his hand resting supportively on her shoulder. The caption read, Vanessa Montgomery Caldwell with her father and Chief Innovation Advisor Theodore Harrington, whose journey from homelessness to the boardroom inspired the company's social mission. The article detailed how Montgomery Luxury Developments had pioneered a new model of ethical luxury, where each high-end property sale directly funded rehabilitation programs for homeless professionals and sustainable housing solutions for vulnerable communities. Public response was immediate. Requests for interviews flooded their offices. Potential investors called with partnership proposals. Most meaningfully, hundreds of messages arrived from people who had lost contact with family members and felt inspired to seek reconciliation. We never intended to become the face of family reunion, Theo remarked, somewhat uncomfortable with the attention. We're not celebrities, Olivia agreed. We're just two people who found each other against impossible odds. Nevertheless, their visibility brought valuable attention to their cause. Corporate partnerships formed with luxury brands seeking association with their ethical approach. Tiffany & Co. established a training program for jewelry designers experiencing housing insecurity. Tesla created apprenticeships for displaced engineers. The Four Seasons Hotel Group implemented a version of their model internationally, creating pathways for hospitality professionals to regain footing after personal disasters. Within 18 months, the Harrington-Montgomery Initiative expanded to Chicago, Miami, and San Francisco. Their data-driven approach, measuring outcomes through employment retention, income growth, and housing stability, attracted government interest. Federal agencies began studying their model for potential national implementation. Most remarkably, international adaptations emerged in London, Singapore, and Dubai, luxury markets where the contrast between wealth and poverty created perfect conditions for their bifocal approach. We've helped 812 people transition from homelessness to professional employment, Olivia reported during their quarterly review. That's 812 lives completely redirected. Theo added perspective only he could provide. And thousands more affected, their families, their colleagues, their communities. Success propagates outward like ripples from a stone thrown in water. These statistical achievements brought satisfaction, but both found greater fulfillment in individual transformations. They celebrated when Eduardo Vasquez, their first participant, bought his own home. They attended the medical license reinstatement ceremony for Dr. Patricia Chen. They witnessed James Collins reunite with his estranged son after achieving financial stability. Each success story reflected their own journey. Broken connections restored, potential reclaimed, new pathways forged from apparent dead ends. We're not just providing services, Olivia observed during a strategy session. We're creating possibility where it seemed exhausted. Theo nodded, understanding completely. The engineering term would be reclamation, recovering value from what was discarded. On the second anniversary of their chance reunion, they returned to the exact Boston street corner where Theo had approached Olivia's broken-down Rolls-Royce. Without fanfare, they installed a discreet bronze plaque on the sidewalk. The inscription read simply, "On this spot in December 2023, a father and daughter found each other after 10 years apart, proving that even in our darkest moments, reconnection remains possible." Have you ever experienced a coincidence so profound it felt orchestrated by unseen hands? The statistical probability of Theo recognizing his mother's ring on his daughter's finger after a decade of separation defies calculation. Who might be searching for you right now, hoping against hope for a chance encounter? Perhaps someone from your past thinks of you during quiet moments, wondering if reconciliation is still possible. Could a simple action today, a phone call, a message, a journey to a familiar place, create your own miracle of reconnection? If this story resonates with your own hopes for healing broken relationships, share this video now with the simple message, it's never too late. Your share might become the catalyst for someone else's impossible reunion. 5 years after their chance reunion, Theo straightened his bow tie in the reflection of a polished elevator door. The ballroom of the Plaza Hotel awaited them, filled with celebrities, business leaders, and political figures assembled for the International Humanitarian Innovation Awards. Nervous? Olivia asked, adjusting her mother's sapphire ring. Terrified, Theo admitted with a small smile. I've designed engine systems that power vehicles worth millions, lived on streets most people avoid looking at, and helped build an organization that's transformed hundreds of lives. But speaking to a room full of people in formal wear? That's truly daunting. The elevator doors opened to reveal a scene of extraordinary opulence. Crystal chandeliers illuminated tables adorned with arrangements of calla lilies and orchids. Attendees in couture gowns and bespoke tuxedos networked over champagne flutes and canapes. 5 years earlier, Theo would have been escorted away from such a gathering. Now he entered as an honored guest, Olivia's hand resting comfortably in the crook of his arm. They moved through the crowd, stopping for introductions. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development discussed implementing elements of their model into federal programs. A tech billionaire sought their input on a similar initiative for displaced professionals in Silicon Valley. An international hotel magnate proposed partnership for global expansion. Throughout these conversations, Theo remained grounded in a perspective uniquely his. He had experienced both extremes, professional success and absolute destitution, giving him insight few in the ballroom could comprehend. "Mr. Harrington," began an eager investment banker, "your return on investment metrics for rehabilitation versus traditional homeless services are remarkable. What financial instruments do you recommend for scaling?" "The most valuable investment," Theo replied thoughtfully, "is recognizing human potential when it appears defeated. No algorithm can calculate the worth of a second chance offered at precisely the right moment." The evening proceeded through dinner and preliminary awards. Finally, the host announced, "The Humanitarian Innovation Award recognizes individuals who have fundamentally reimagined approaches to entrenched social challenges. This year's recipients have created a model that transforms the relationship between luxury development and community investment. Please welcome Vanessa Montgomery Caldwell and Theodore Harrington." Applause filled the ballroom as father and daughter approached the stage. Olivia accepted the crystal sculpture, then stepped to the microphone. Her poise, perfected through years of high-stakes business presentations, momentarily faltered as emotion touched her voice. "This award belongs to my father," she began, her words carrying clearly through the hushed ballroom. "A man who taught me that true luxury isn't about what we possess, but about the dignity we afford to others. Who showed me that expertise and talent deserve respect, regardless of current circumstances." She turned to look directly at Theo, tears glistening in her eyes. "Dad, when I was little, you used to tell me that the most complex engineering feat wasn't building engines, but building a life of purpose. For years, I chased success through acquisitions, properties, companies, influence. I accumulated wealth without understanding its best application." Theo watched his daughter with undisguised pride. The sophisticated businesswoman addressing international leaders bore little resemblance to the young college graduate he'd last seen before their decade of separation. Yet in this moment, he glimpsed the little girl who had once watched him work with wide-eyed fascination. "Our initiative has helped over 3,000 professionals reclaim their expertise and dignity," Olivia continued, "but its greatest achievement cannot be quantified in statistics. Its true value lies in demonstrating that connections broken can be restored, skills dormant can reawaken, and lives interrupted can find new direction." Theo stepped forward at her gesture, accepting the microphone with characteristic humility. "Engineering taught me that every system contains potential energy, power waiting to be activated under the right conditions," he stated simply. "The same principle applies to human potential. It doesn't disappear during hardship. It simply awaits the proper catalyst." His gaze swept across the assembled dignitaries and celebrities. "Look beyond appearances. The homeless woman outside might be a brilliant mathematician. The man seeking shelter might be a gifted surgeon. Their circumstances reflect societal failures, not personal worthlessness." The audience listened intently, many visibly moved by the authenticity of his perspective. "No one plans to lose everything," he concluded. "It happens through cascading events that could befall anyone in this room. The difference between continuing function and system failure often comes down to what supports exist when critical components begin to fail." Later that night, as they shared a quiet moment in Olivia's Central Park West penthouse, she slipped off her mother's ring and handed it to her father. "I think Mom would want you to have this back," she said softly. Theo shook his head, gently closing her fingers around the ring. "No, Liv, It's where it belongs. Besides, he smiled, pulling a worn photograph from his wallet, I have something even more precious. The photograph, creased and faded, showed a younger Theo with Marilyn and little Olivia at a beach, all three laughing at some forgotten joke, their happiness frozen in time. I kept this through everything, he said, even when I sold my wedding ring for food, even when I pawned my father's watch during a particularly difficult winter. I couldn't part with this. It was my reminder that once I had been loved. Olivia rested her head on her father's shoulder, the way she had as a child. You never stopped being loved, Dad. We just lost each other for a while. From the window of the penthouse, New York's glittering skyline stretched before them, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. The contrast was stark, from sleeping under highway overpasses to standing 60 floors above the city, from isolation to connection, from survival to purpose. Sometimes I can hardly believe the journey, Theo said, his voice quiet with wonder. From that street corner to this view. From broken down Rolls-Royce to international impact, Olivia added with a smile. From lost to found, Theo concluded. In that moment, surrounded by luxury but focused on what truly mattered, father and daughter understood the most valuable engineering feat they'd accomplished, rebuilding a relationship that had seemed irreparably damaged, constructing a purpose greater than either could have achieved alone. Life can change direction in a heartbeat, through chance encounters that seem random but reshape your entire future. Theo and Olivia's story began with a broken-down luxury car and a homeless man offering help, yet led to thousands of transformed lives. What unexpected encounters have you dismissed that might contain the seeds of your greatest purpose? Perhaps today's challenge contains tomorrow's breakthrough. How might your lowest moment become the foundation for your most meaningful contribution? Before you close this video, take a moment to look around your life with new perspective. What coincidences might actually be invitations? What broken connections await restoration?